All right, y'all, super excited to be back talking about another quarterback prospect from the 2025 NFL Draft. Today, we're going to be talking about Dillon Gabriel, one of the most overlooked quarterback prospects coming out this year. And I say that with all pun intended. He's standing at just 5'11", 205 pounds. And I think on his tape, he looks a little bit shorter than 5'11", but that's what he measured in at the combine. Dillon Gabriel is a 24-year-old left-handed mobile pocket passer from the island of Hawaii. A lot of controversy around this dude's name, considering that the Cleveland Browns decided to draft him 2 rounds before ultimately drafting Shoutout Sanders, who slid from being a first-round prospect all the way to the 5th round. But Dillon Gabriel is a super accomplished quarterback, 6 years of experience, went from UCF to Oklahoma to Oregon for his final season, where he put up over 3,800 yards and 37 total touchdowns, y'all. 30 of those touchdowns coming through the air, and just 6 interceptions. Today, we're going to break down one of, if not his most accomplished performance, going up against West Virginia in 2023, where he had 8 total touchdowns, 5 of those through the air, 3 rushing touchdowns, and 423 yards to go along with that. Today, we'll focus on Dillon Gabriel's arm talent. You guys know I'm definitely enamored with mobility, so we'll focus on that as well. His anticipation, how he goes through his progressions, and we'll highlight some of the throws that are some big boy NFL throws on his tape. Let's get right into it, y'all. All right, let's get to this first throw. We're going to start things off real slow and easy here, just showing you some of the raw capabilities from Dillon Gabriel and just how he plays within structure. Love how he just, like, the timing of his throws is where he wins. This one's going to be at the bottom of the screen. Nice little comeback route to the inside there, and he gives his wide receiver enough time to be able to get the necessary yak by putting the ball on him. Now, this is not a throw that has, capital A anticipation, but I want you to focus on that wide receiver right here at the bottom of the screen and just look at it from his perspective. When you run the route, you want to be able to come out of it and the ball be right on you. The ball could have been there a little bit earlier. You want that there, maybe about right here, the ball should be there. But you can see that Dillon Gabriel, when he's going to load up the throw here, we'll stop it right there. The wide receiver's just coming out of his break. So this is this isn't capital A anticipation. This is anticipation with the lowercase a. Shout out to the quarterback school. But this ball is right on him. Look at that accuracy right there. He does not have to move his hands. If you look at the wide receiver from when he puts his hands up to when that ball lands, it's a perfect throw. Goes out there, gets the necessary yak. And we'll see from the end zone camera here, you'll be able to see Dillon Gabriel's footwork, and also you can see his lower half of his body. I mean, he's a thick-built kid. He's not a small, skinny type of build for 5'11", and look how this ball just whizzes off his hands. I mean, you can see the velocity there. Camera can't even keep up with it, and that's going to be a theme here on this tape. This next one here, at the top of the screen, the second wide receiver from the top, you'll see he's going to run a bit of a skinny post, more known as a glance route these days. Back in my day, we called it a skinny post. But you'll see, as soon as he plants his foot into the ground and takes that angle, that ball is right on him, allowing him to be able to go get the yak. And I think that's where Dillon Gabriel shines. He puts the ball in a position where his wide receiver can catch the ball and go. And this is another one. Focus on the hands here on the end zone camera. I'll slow this down for you guys a little bit when the ball's in flight here. Now look at this. The hands go up. He does not have to move those hands. That is as accurate as a pass can get on a, quick slant, glance, skinny post, whatever you want to call it, type of route. Catches the ball, and it allows him to get his eyes up to be able to make a move on this defender and pick up another extra maybe 25, 30 yards here, maybe 35 yards. Dillon Gabriel throws the ball with great anticipation and also leading his receiver the proper way. This one here, this looks like a really basic throw, for the average viewer, I guess. But what I like about it is just the timing. Again, this first series of throws is just showing you Dillon Gabriel understanding the offense. As soon as that wide receiver at the bottom of the screen starts to settle down, which is about right there, that ball is out. That ball is already gone. You can see Dillon Gabriel's kind of, posing a little bit for the camera there. And as that wide receiver stopping, that ball is right on him. These are the kind of throws that if you're not on time, it's going to be an easy pick six for these defensive backs. And you get to see the mechanics here from the end zone cam. Nice little fake there. I love how Dillon Gabriel fakes. His play action, his RPO work, real nice. And then that ball is whizzing out of his hand. Look how that thing's coming off. Like, the thing about Dillon Gabriel, you can see it right here. his release is a little bit low, which does take a little bit of time. I guess that's how he generates the velocity, kind of dips the ball down a little bit, then it comes over. But once he gets here, that release is extremely quick. And I think that's how he generates a lot of his power and a lot of his velocity. Let's talk a little red zone action here. We all know that it's extremely important in the NFL to be, efficient once you get down here in between the 20 and the goal line to be able to put the ball in the end zone and get 7 for your team. And I just love this play right here from Dillon Gabriel. Nice little play action fake here. Beautiful little layered throw over the top. Even had to battle the referee there. Puts the ball right on his tight end for 7. And you'll see here on the end zone camera here, and I'll run this one in slow motion for you guys a little bit. Focus on number 15 and number 1, the 2 linebackers here for West Virginia. And just watch what the play fake does. I mean, I understand we're on the goal line and whatnot, but that's a great play fake. Tucks the ball and knows that he has an easy touchdown there. Another nice throw from Dillon Gabriel. All right, this next throw is one that, again, might look like a very easy throw because, you're only picking up about a couple of yards on this one, right? But a 10-yard throw is a 10-yard throw. And you'll see here with Dillon Gabriel, he gets that ball out of his hands extremely quick, and the ball placement is what I want to focus on here. Notice that the wide receiver takes that last-minute little shuffle. After he settles down on the route right here, there's a little shuffle right there. Because Dillon Gabriel's putting that ball on his left outside shoulder to try to avoid some of that contact from that defensive back that is coming down on the play there. Again, looks like a bit of a basic throw, but these are the type of things that I think are going to translate to the NFL. It's a good little bit of a RPO action here from his own end zone at that. So if this throw is not accurate, you could be looking at a pick 6 situation there. And then you'll see it from the end zone camera here, be able to kind of see the play action work a little bit closer. Making a couple adjustments at the line there. I mean, that ball is just rifling out of his hand. And I see a lot of people giving, college quarterbacks a big issue about clapping instead of having a cadence. I mean, come on, y'all. We got to be serious here. Like, these kids are going to be able to come into the NFL and learn an NFL cadence. There's nothing to it. All right, let's just roll into this next one here. Oh, man, I love this one. This one is one of my favorites right here. You can see that Dillon Gabriel is identifying what is happening up front with the protection. And immediately, as soon as he sees that DB coming off that blitz right there out of the slot, he knows where he wants to go with the football. But what I love about this is West Virginia has another defender there that, who knows, could be playing a bit of a deep third there possibly. But as soon as he settles down here, when Dillon Gabriel notices that he steps up right there, look how the ball just comes out. The only knock I'll have on this throw here is the ball could have been a little bit more up the field as far as the accuracy goes. But when you see the end zone camera, you'll see why the throw was not all the way accurate. I mean, the DB is right there in his face. And I'm going to play this in slow-mo for you as he's about to release. Look at the punishment he's taking there. He could barely even see where he's throwing the ball. Look at that. It has to kind of turn his shoulder. Reminds me of the Curtis Rourke throw against Michigan. And the ball is right on him. Nice little throw, allows his receiver to be able to maybe make a move there and pick up some more yards. Another first down. All right, this is another RPO situation. And, man, I can't help but just think that he looks like Tua when he's throwing the ball. This really looks like Miami's offense right here. And I know wide receiver, definitely creates some good separation there. That DB is sitting about a good 10 yards off the ball and whatnot. But just look at how the RPO is done, and the throw is just bing, right on him. He's allowing his wide receivers to get that necessary time to be able to make a move and make a play and get down the field and get some more yards. You'll see it here from the end zone cam. And what I like about Dillon Gabriel, too, is he's so comfortable. Like, you're going to see some throws here when we get down the line. He's so comfortable in the pocket, navigating the pocket, although it might be muddy or there might be a lot of traffic within the pocket. He's a guy that plays the position very fearless. Look, he's not even looking at the running back. His eyes are up. He's ready to make his throw as soon as he's done the play fake. I mean, look at how quickly we go from play fake to ball to release. And the ball is right on him. All right, let's ramp up the difficulty of the throws here just a little bit as we go along here. But I want you to focus on that left tackle here on the first pass. And just watch how he gets beat like an old rug here And Dillon Gabriel recognizes it and gets this ball out at the absolute last minute. Perfect throw within timing. And you'll see here when we get to the end zone cam, Dillon Gabriel recognizes that his left tackle is being beat. Watch how he goes through the progressions. If you notice there quickly, and I love how quickly he gets to the backside here. He's noticing right here that his left tackle is being beaten. He doesn't like what he's seeing on that side of the field. So he knows that the pocket is closing on him now, and he's got just a few seconds to get rid of this ball. And notice he's just feeling that pressure. That's what this step right here does to give him a little bit more time. Because if he didn't take this extra step here, that edge rusher coming off the edge on his left tackle is likely going to make the tackle about right there. You'll see Dillon Gabriel's right on the hash mark as he first takes the drop back. And he just buys a little bit of extra time here, taking a little shuffle step, another shuffle step, then he lets go of the ball here. Great velocity. I'm going to rewind it here just so you can really see the throw and really see the nuances of the pocket manipulation here. Step, step, bing, and the ball is right on him. And I want to go back and show you from the sideline camera here as well. Just one more time, I want you to focus on the slot wide receiver. That's Drake Stoops again. And just focus on how things are coming from his perspective of running this route, settling down, and how quickly this ball gets on him. So he kind of gets a little bit bumped off the release, settles down, ball is right on him. Love that play from Dillon Gabriel. All right, let's continue with the theme of throwing the ball when you got a little bit of pressure surrounding you, muddy pockets, pocket manipulation. I love this throw right here from Dillon Gabriel. Nice little RPO fake, little play action, steps up, and the ball placement on this one. You know, the ability to be able to throw on the run like this, before we get to the end zone cam, just look at the ball placement, because I want you to focus on that safety, okay? He's backpedaling right there, and then he sees that crosser right there. Wide receiver puts his hand up. I think that's Drake Stoops again, man. That kid was balling out. But this throw, you want to keep it kind of away from the sideline. You know, some people might think that this throw's a little bit inaccurate, but he's trying to keep his wide receiver out of harm's way. And you just look at the ball placement here and where this ball lands, back to the inside. I mean, look at that, protecting his wide receiver and also not allowing that DB that's underneath to be able to make a play on this one. If that ball is more towards the sideline, that DB could possibly make a play on the ball. But I just love this ball placement. I love the pocket manipulation. You know, just the rhythm that Dillon Gabriel has in the pocket. You know, I think it's just something to admire. You know, you just look at how he's looking down the field, checking off all the progressions, going through them, steps up into the pocket and delivers an absolute seed there. Just a beautiful throw. And here on the end zone camera, you'll get to see some of the pocket manipulation and the footwork here. Nope, steps to his left a little bit, step up, make the throw. I mean, that's a tight window NFL type of throw. All right, this one here is definitely one of my favorite throws on his tape, because as the pressure starts to, you know, fall into his lap, he finds the way to evade the pressure. But what I love about this one is how he works his way back towards the middle of the pocket after making the first man miss here. And what you'll notice here is if you look at the wide receiver on the outside, he's the reason why this kind of looks like a bit of a hospital ball. It's a bit of a lazy route here because he does understand it's going to be a clear out route. So focus on that wide receiver towards the bottom of the screen. All right, he's kind of faking like he's running a go route, but he kind of gives up on it here as his quarterback is still working his way and navigating his way through the pocket. If he takes his defender here, who looks like he's in a man-to-man situation, if he takes that defender more towards the middle of the field, when Dillon Gabriel goes to throw this ball, the tight end would have a lot more space. Instead, that wide receiver that was on the outside at the bottom of the screen works back towards the line of scrimmage, which then brings that defender with him and ultimately ends up getting the tight end a little bit killed there. So before you deem that as a hospital ball, you got to understand the situation here. But I just love how Dillon Gabriel makes the first man miss right there. You know, understanding that his running back is in protection, giving him that opportunity to make a play, kind of over pursues there, makes a man miss, shuffles to his right, then works his way back towards the interior portion of the pocket to then deliver a very catchable ball to his tight end. This next one is absolutely my favorite play from Dillon Gabriel, maybe in his entire career. He has a knock, for being a shorter quarterback that, people think he can't just stand in the pocket and deliver. And my God, I don't know if I've seen a quarterback just stand tall in the pocket like this on any portion of tape that I've looked at. especially with these kids coming out this year. But just look at how he's just standing there in that pocket, fearless still right there. And then with a little bit of traffic around him, just delivers. I mean, dude, look at that accuracy on that pass, man. That's Drake Stoops again, man. That kid runs routes. He reminds me of Xavier Restrepo, and look at the extra effort. He fights his way getting into the end zone. You got to love that from the quarterback perspective. But look at this one from the end zone cam. I'm going to let this play full through because I know you guys want to see it like that. But just look at how he just stands in this pocket, man. Look at this. It's great protection, too, and just delivers an absolute seed on the sideline there. And again, man, just great effort from Stoops there. Love that. Love that. That's NFL stuff right there. And we're going to get off into a bunch of big boy throws here. These are going to be just all very accurate throws from Dillon Gabriel. Little play action across the middle. That's Stoops again, and the ball is just right on him. You know, as a wide receiver and, you know, being a Giants fan and understanding having a shorter stature wide receiver like a Wan'Dale Robinson, you really have to put the ball right on those type of wide receivers. And Drake Stoops is similar stature, very smaller wide receiver, but you know, you just look at where these passes are landing. I mean, just look at where that ball, you know, if you wanted to nitpick, you could say maybe a little bit high. He had to leave his feet just a little bit there, but nothing stops the momentum at all. Another one that if he breaks a tackle, he's going to take that one to the house. And we'll see this one from the end zone cam. This is going to be right into your living room here. Look how comfortable he is in that pocket. Bing, ball right on him. Gabriel is, you know, the more and more I look at tape and go through more passes, he's becoming one of my favorites from this class. Okay, this is another one, y'all. This throw is straight up big boy NFL type stuff right here. All right, it's a simple concept here. This is Drake Stoops again in the slot, and he's going to run just a basic little 10-yard out, maybe a 12 yards to get into the end zone. And the reason why this is an NFL throw is because, one, the hash marks are farther apart in college. So when they line the ball up on, in this instance, the right hash, to throw this ball this far out to the sideline with that kind of velocity, I mean, wide receiver doesn't even have to move, man. It's a perfect throw. And I kind of want to just check the anticipation here. All right, he's starting to load up to throw it here, and the wide receiver's back is still to Dillon Gabriel. There's that low release, which I do think kind of slows up the ball coming out of his hands, but it also is how he's able to get that velocity on the throw. You can see it. You know, the ball's almost around his knee right there. But then from here to here, oof, oh my God. You'd be hard-pressed to find that kind of throw on maybe any prospect's tape this year. We have not seen that kind of velocity, that kind of anticipation from many of the other quarterbacks. And again, the camera can't stay with it. But you can see how far of a throw this is, even though you can't see where it lands. You know, when you look at a quarterback's footwork, one thing that you should focus on, or I encourage people to focus on, is, are his feet aimed at the target? That is how you can improve your accuracy, at least, you know, directing where you want that ball to go. But Dillon Gabriel's front foot is pointed directly at Drake Stoops. And then this ball just comes out hot. And I mean, look at how far that ball has to travel. You know, it seems like an easy throw. But look how far that has to travel. We're talking about all the way to that front pylon. And I'll show it to you guys one more time in just full motion so you can really see how this ball comes off his hands. I mean, a bit of a invisible fake there, but man, the throw, so good. Gotta love the celebration too. All right, this one here is going to showcase a little bit of Dillon Gabriel's awareness. You'll see the safety at the top of the screen on the top hash mark. Looks like he almost maybe drops his mouthpiece or something like that, but as soon as he turns his back, Dillon Gabriel takes advantage of him being out of position and delivers an absolute dart to his wide receiver here. It's a good route, nice little backside dig, and the ball is right on him. And let me rewind that just a little bit so you can focus on that defensive back who's trailing there. And just notice, as he's coming out of the break about here, Dillon still has the ball in his hands, right? That defensive back turns his back to Dillon Gabriel, and as soon as his wide receiver starts to cross his face right here with his back turned, ball's released, perfect throw. When Dillon Gabriel is in a rhythm, he's almost unstoppable from an accuracy standpoint, especially. And you can tell that, in some of these games, he just catches a rhythm and back-to-back throws, just very accurate, the velocity at a high level, and just showcasing what he can do from the quarterback position. Love that one. Here's a little red zone action here. And this one here, you might call this one a little bit of a hospital ball as well. We'll rewind that when you see the wide receiver still on the ground. But definitely a very accurate pass. And this was one that when you heard it on the broadcast, not only could you hear the collision, but you could hear the ball hitting the wide receiver's hands. I mean, this is, you're really getting your feet underneath you and driving that football, because when he goes to release it right there, that's a tight window. Referee's a little bit in the way, and look at the second level defenders as well, the linebackers that are in the way, and Gabriel is waiting for it to kind of clear. So he is showing you a little bit of anticipation right here, because his wide receiver is going to catch that ball a little bit closer to the defender that's playing the backside there. But he just squeezes this ball into a tight window. This is another NFL throw, in my opinion. And the shot looks a little bit worse than it really was. The wide receiver does ultimately end up getting up, and the defender was flagged on the play for hitting a defenseless receiver there. But, I mean, you can see it here from the end zone cam. My God, look at the accuracy. I want to show it to you when Dillon Gabriel's about to throw the ball. There he's loading up. The wide receiver is not even in the frame. So when we're talking about anticipation, this is capital A anticipation right here. He's throwing the ball to a window. He's not necessarily throwing it to his receiver. He's just throwing a catchable ball. Even when he releases the ball here, there's not really a lane for the receiver to catch the ball. Maybe a little bit high on the accuracy there, but definitely putting the ball where only his receiver can get it. This is one of the more impressive throws on his tape. Sometimes you got to be able to just take that shot. Good to see he was okay on that one too. And this was another thing I noticed too. You might be able to look at this as this is not a good look. When your wide receiver's laying on the ground right there for that long. Focus on Dillon Gabriel at the bottom of the screen. Look what he runs up to do. I thought he was running up to celebrate with his receiver. He's running up to go talk some shit. Gets right in that defensive back's face. He's a very passionate player. You can see that even in his interviews and on his on-field play as well. I mean, this next one, this reminds me of something that you would see in the Lane Kiffin system. When looking at Jaxson Dart's tape, there was a lot of this, on his tape, because they abused the bubble screens at the line a lot. And in this instance, they're just reading that one defensive back. And once the second and third level defenders start to creep up towards the line when he pump fakes it, I mean, he knows he hasn't beat right here, and the ball is already out. Another one that's just showcasing the anticipation from Dillon Gabriel, just really showing you that he can anticipate where his receivers are going to be. This is post pump fake. Receiver's open. That ball is let go. And it can't get much more accurate than that. Another NFL throw from Dillon Gabriel. And we'll see this one from the end zone cam as well. We'll play action. Oh, my God. There are times when a pretty thrown football doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL. I know New York Giants fans can definitely vouch for that with Eli Manning, who, at times would throw a duck and it got there. That's what's most important, is that the pass gets there. But this reminds me of Michael Penix, that lefty spin, nice little pump fake, but just look at the trajectory of the ball from here. I mean, that is just right in the bucket, man. All right, this is another one showcasing anticipation. Man in motion is going to catch the ball here, and you'll see before he even comes out of that break, that ball is on him. And let's rewind that back real quick to the point of release. As you can see, he's loading up right there. That low drop throwing motion right there. The wide receiver's still working on his break, and the ball is about to come out. There's the first step that's coming out of the break right there. Finally gets the head turned around. The ball is out. That ball is already out. I also think he could have caught this and gotten to the end zone, but being that the ball was on him a little bit hot, he wanted to secure the catch there and make sure he made the catch, so he kind of fell to the ground here. But I'm going to pause this here. Look, he's getting ready to throw the ball. You cannot even see the wide receiver in the frame. as he's getting a little bit closer to the front of the throwing motion. You can see the wide receiver's not out of the break yet. Now he's starting to get the head turned around. The ball is already in flight and bang, right on him. And as I said, I don't think he had to fall to the ground. You can see the accuracy is kind of right there, about waist level, but good way to secure the catch nonetheless. And last thing before we get you guys up out of here, we got to talk about Dillon Gabriel's mobility as a dual threat, mobile type of pocket passer. Has the ability to run the read option like this and pick up some good yards. He's a tough runner. Definitely pretty quick. First gear definitely gets him to where he needs to go, and has the awareness to be able to get down and not really take a big shot here and pick up some extra yards. Gabriel is definitely an elusive runner, and here you're going to see him cap it off from the goal line here. And I like this one here. This might seem a little bit basic as well, but I highlighted this one to show you guys that he's a powerful runner. Like I talked about in the beginning of the video, he's got a thick lower base to him. And here you'll see him. He's running over, not a defensive back. That is definitely a lineman there, rocking number 55. And Dillon Gabriel takes him into the end zone. And he's a little feisty there, talking a little shit. You got to like that, showing his passion. This next one here is going to go up the left sideline here. Great read on the read option there. And just quickly gets out of dodge, man. Picks up a big chunk play, a big explosive play here. Gets down near the goal line. And you'll see again here, just the way that he reads that read option, reading that edge defender, number 10. He's the one that they're reading, which I think he could have gave the ball here as well, but the beautiful disguise of the ball there, they don't even know that he's leaving. He's already gone, and look at number 10 there. Number 10 is like, oh, running back doesn't have the ball. Dillon Gabriel's already up out of there. So another nice run that I think, these are things that NFL coaches will be able to utilize with him in the read option game, which they don't do a lot of over there in Cleveland. They're more about playing within structure, quick West Coast type of system with Kevin Stefanski. But Dillon Gabriel, definitely a more than capable runner. And you'll see here he caps it off in the red zone here with a nice little cutback. And you'll see on the end zone cam here, there's not a lot of room here. And the patience and the vision as a runner from Dillon Gabriel. What I love about this is right here, after those two defenders kind of collide, trying to collapse down into the A-gap, Gabriel takes advantage of that, and here notices and then just cuts back for a super easy touchdown. So Gabriel showing you the mobility right there. All right, so that's going to do it, man. Dillon Gabriel. I hope that this video gave you a little bit of insight into his skill set. I know that there's just a ridiculous narrative going around about Dillon Gabriel, especially on social media. And I'd recommend, or I'd encourage, my viewers to not really get all of your football information from Twitter, because a lot of people just aren't doing the due diligence and really looking at some of these games. But this video serves as a purpose to show that Dillon Gabriel can really make all those NFL throws. And a lot of people just say that about quarterbacks, but I truly believe that about Dillon Gabriel. He plays with great anticipation, has great velocity, can make the throws down the field, and then he has that extra bonus capability of being able to be a mobile quarterback, and I think that could translate to the NFL. I think he's in a really good situation. Not necessarily from a franchise perspective when you're looking at the Cleveland Browns. The history with the Cleveland Browns and the quarterback position don't really yield the greatest of results. Hopefully they believe in this kid. I think they do. They drafted him in the 3rd round over Shoutout Sanders. So I really do think they believe in Dillon Gabriel, and I think he has the skill set to be a successful quarterback in the NFL.